Well, it is wet. Wet, wet, wet. Round 6 here at Monza, Italy for the GTOpen Championship. Qualifying 1, folks, ready to kick things off this weekend. But I have to tell you, the drama in the championship still very much continues. A solitary point in between 2 Oregon team cars with a 5-point gap to that of a McLaren belonging to Optimum Motorsport. My name is George Morgan, bringing you all the action here this morning, ready for what will be certainly a motorsport fiesta. Joining me on my right-hand side is Ian Silvestrin. Ian, we're in for a corker of a weekend, mate.
Indeed we are. Good morning, George. Good morning to everyone watching this, the penultimate round of the 2022 GTOpen International Championship. A touch of deja vu, because if we go back 12 months, the conditions almost identical. We are expecting around about half an inch of rain. It is supposed to bucket down, well, about half an hour ago, but as you can see, the track is wet-ish. For the moment, we have got, for the large part, as far as we can tell, the Michelin wets on. We had the Euro Formula Open cars, those beautiful F3 cars out on the circuit for qualifying just a few moments ago. They started on the Michelin slicks. That was not the way to go. They were into the pits very quickly for the Michelin wets. And we expect all the cars in the GTOpen International class, as qualifying 1 gets underway for race 1 this afternoon, to be out onto this legendary circuit, the Cathedral of Speed, the Temple of Speed. George, we can call it the Holy Tabernacle Speed for all we care. We simply know it as Monza, the circuit which just a few weeks ago hosted the Italian Formula 1 Grand Prix and also celebrated 100 years of motor racing. The penultimate round of the series, and we are underway with qualifying 1 on well, there's not a whole lot of standing water on the track, but it is certainly very treacherous conditions out there this morning.
Very greasy indeed. We saw Euro Formula out earlier on, and they were certainly battling to keep control at this point. But the centenary here at Monza, we're looking forward to bringing it to you, folks. That's to say the least. But we have got some new faces, of course, this weekend as well. Nova Race Events join us here with Yao Liang and Lu Jue here in this race weekend at Monza. Yao Liang competed in the Ferrari Challenge Asia Pacific as well, and joining us here at GTOpen 2, and his teammate Asian Le Mans Series GT in 2020, and competing in the China GT Championship. Lu Jue partnering him at Nova Race. Alberto De Falco and James Rowe Jr. joining us for Imperial Racing. And of course, Alberto De Falco, a race winner in the 2022 Italian GT Championship, so he's well versed to these kind of cars as well. We've got Dynamic Motorsport, they're bringing a car in as well. Klaus Bachler joining us, IMCA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship driver, as well as a podium sitter in the Asian Le Mans 2022, and a pole sitter as well. So again, very, very quick. And Riccardo Casanaiga joins him as well. Drove in the Italian GT Championship back in 2021. Bradley Ellis and Leo Lucas joining us at 76 as well. Bradley Ellis, a winner in the 2022 British GT Endurance Championship, also raced in the 24-hour series as well, with Leo Lucas racing in the 24-hour series himself, relying on the expertise of that of Bradley Ellis.
A lot of attention, George, this weekend on the Imperiale Lamborghini, which raced, 6 days ago at Vallelunga in the Italian GT Championship. Also joined by driving with Alberto De Falco is the Irishman James Rowe, direct from Indy Lights in the United States of America. A lot of attention on that car as we ride on board with one of the Kessel Racing Ferraris, David Fumanelli and Murat Twadaroglu, the Italian and the Turk, as you watch one of, I have to count, we're missing a few of the Mercedes from the Red Bull Ring. They incredibly had 10 cars on the grid last time round. We've got 8 different manufacturers. As you look at one of the 2 McLarens in the field, this is Nick Moss and Joe Osborne, just rounding the Michele Alboreto Parabolica on a greasy circuit. We're down to 4 Mercedes after an incredible entry of 10 at the Red Bull Ring, as we see one of the Oregon cars locks up, 63, Benjamin Hites, sharing that car with Kevin Gilardoni. But we do have 8 manufacturers, and great, you mentioned that the Honda is back. They were on the podium last year in 2021. It's great to see the Japanese manufacturer back in the field. 8 manufacturers represented here this weekend.
Yeah, it's certainly great to see the 8 manufacturers here, of course, and we've seen it time and time again. It's grown steadily. The GTOpen now, with 24 cars that have littered their way through this weekend. Leonardo Polcini is going to look to try and hold on to his advantage up at the top end. If you remember, he, of course, was looking to try and fight back at Austria, was a little frustrated after what happened in race 1, but very quickly fought back. He and his teammate Benji Hites managing to strike gold in that second race. Of course, Oregon certainly celebrating on both ends of the spectrum, with Glenn Van Berlo and Kevin Gillardoni also scoring big that weekend, and it's made the championship all the more spicier as we look to head towards Barcelona next month as well. This is the penultimate round of the championship, of course, so everything will be decided very, very soon, but nevertheless we will enjoy the theatre that happens out there nonetheless. Of course, another team that are very much in the mix as well is the McLaren 720S as well. Here's the Street Art Aston Martin. Great to see them back too. Of course, the likes of Pascal Bachmann will be looking to try and move that car to the top end of things. Great to see the Aston back in amongst with us. And there's Kevin Gillardoni, who was, of course, absolutely elated with the team's performance at Austria as well. It's car number 54, that, of course, belonging to Yannick Mettler, who currently sits on top end of things currently in our classification. He's about to cross the line as well after enlisting a purple sector 1 and 2. What's it going to be for Yannick Mettler as he heads towards the line? A 2-minute, near enough flat, 2-minute 2:28 towards the end as well. So he's enlisted a great time indeed, but we've still got plenty of time to go. The track is still very much wet.
Yannick Mettler on your screen, position 1 at the moment as we approach 1/3 distance in this qualifying one for race 1 this afternoon. Listen to that glorious sound of the Mercedes, the 3-pointed star, as he makes his way up to the big curve, or Curva Grande. Just a slight correction, of course, the Oregon team, their combination this weekend, as it has been for the season, Kevin Gillardoni sharing the 19 car with Glenn Van Berlo. And of course, 63 is Leonardo Polcini, the 2016 Euro Formula Open champion, sharing the car, the second Oregon car, with Benjamin Hites, who of course won here in the rain for Rinaldi Racing 12 months ago. So the car on your screen, car 54, Yannick Mettler, a Pro-Am entry. You can see the spray as he exits the Lesmo chicane. Martin Conrad sets a purple time at the bottom of your screen. The track, it is wet, but for the moment, the heavy rains which were forecast are not falling just quite yet.
Well, they could very much fall later on for the race. We did wonder whether we would have a dry or wet qualifying session. We got a little bit of in between. There is spray on the circuit, but at the same time, it's not as much as we perhaps would have expected given the conditions this weekend. You can just see the flash of the lights as well as the Kessel Racing. I believe that's the Kessel Racing Ferrari just in behind that of the Team Landgraf Power Mercedes. Certainly the man filter car, Alexander Horakowina and Martin Conrad, who have been very active in the AM Championship. Polcini just goes 8th fastest in the Lamborghini ahead of Rowe, who's in 9th, Scholzer in 10th, but none of them touching Yannick Mettler just yet. Carol Bash in 2nd as well. Of course, it's been such a great championship for them. Yannick Mettler about to cross the line yet again after enlisting another purple second sector, and enlists yet another purple lap of 1:59.566. That is now the time to beat, a whole second faster than that of Carol Bash, but do not write him off. Adam Osaka goes second fastest now, just over 2 minutes on his time, a 2-minute 2:04. And just over 0.6 of a second slower than that of Yannick Mettler. But Carol Bash, as I was alluding to earlier on, Thieber Motorsport not here this weekend as Ricardo Casadeiga goes second fastest. Carol Bash, obviously with a huge opportunity, much like his teammate Marcin Jedlinski, to score massive in the Pro-Am Championship this weekend, because Thieber Motorsport unable to bring the car due to the issues with the car after Red Bull Ring, after that big crash. Moritz Kranzo has just gone to the top, a 1:59.511. Brilliant time.
First 3 cars under the 2-minute bracket as they try and get, I won't say a dry line on the circuit, but certainly a clean line and fine grip here in the park of Monza. So it is Kranz, Mettler, Katzaniga, 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Carol Bash falls into pit lane in position 4. You look at the number 9 car of the car, which is the driver, which is currently on pole position. This is Moritz Kranz. A good run from them last time out at Austria. Just getting back to the Thieber Motorsport entry. Yes, unfortunately, the Saudi racing team is not here. That incident, George, last time out, it was one almighty crash, let's be honest.
It's a bone cruncher.
It was huge. as we look at Leonardo Pulcini in the 63 Lamborghini. Position 9 at the moment, but purple in Sector 1, purple in Sector 2. That was the Honda just going by. The Nova race team from Italy with the 2 Chinese drivers. As we watch Leo come up to the line in car 63 from position 9. Let's see where the former Euro Formula Open champion parks the Lamborghini. Up to P3 with a 1:59.830, so the track doesn't look too bad. And there is that beautiful NSX V6 Honda, the twin turbo, just ahead of the almighty V10 Lamborghini. Tries to find a way down the inside and set another lap. Does Leonardo Pulcini, flashes the lights, says move over boys, and the 99 Honda does just that. First time out in the GTOpen International Championship. They also raced 6 days ago at Vallelunga to the north of the eternal city of Rome. As we look at the most spectacularly presented car in all of GT racing in the world, the Street Art Racing Machine, which is just ahead of Pulcini. Great to see them back out on track, one of 8 marks in the event this weekend.
Yeah, Sebastian Boe just going 7 fastest as well. Pulcini trying to battle for track space right now. He's coming up to the Aston Martin. It's just ahead, getting very close, heading out to the Lesmo. As they now make their way in towards the second Lesmo, you'll then have the long straight to take, then before venturing into the Ascari chicane. That, of course, very, very, it's almost like a circus of corners, really. Makes your way through. You can very easily unseat the car. You see blue flag conditions down this straight as well. Obviously trying to let the slow cars move aside just so the faster cars can move on by. Kevin Ghilardoni goes 9th fastest as well. That's the other Oregon Lamborghini. Florian Scholze up to 11th, just goes ahead of Adamo Seca. So faster times now being enlisted by the drivers, and more and more will come through as now we see James Rowe going 3rd fastest as well, getting already nice and comfortable in the GTOpen Championship, as we're now seeing Pulcini just settle the car down. I get the feeling that due to the traffic he's going to look to go again and try and enlist yet another sharp lap time. Heads through the Parabolica, just fighting for clean air out on track. Obviously, seeing as we've got all these cars here joining us this weekend, it's all about management for these drivers here this weekend too. So now heading down this long straight, you'll have the Rettifilio chicane to take. Leonardo Pulcini, who, as I've said before, has really wowed spectators and us alike with his performances this season. But I don't think he quite expected the other Oregon car to be quite as imposing as it has been. Glenn Van Berlo and Kevin Ghilardoni doing an almighty job to top the championship at this point.
Pulcini in position 3 at the moment, so the order is Krantz, Metler, who is in pit lane at the moment. As we look at the professional pole sitter who goes purple in sectors 1 and 2. Carol Bash, incidentally, has just rejoined the circuit as we approach the halfway point of qualifying 1 for the penultimate round of the 2022 championship. Position 8 at the moment. We just mentioned Carol Bash has rejoined. He's in position 5. Christian Korsanowski, the first AM car, outright position 8. Another impressive performance as Moritz Krantz is sideways out of the Parabolica. Christian P8 in the pits at the moment, but has done a 2-minute 0.9, only 1.4 seconds off outright pole position in treacherous conditions here this morning as we look at Moritz Krantz. Across the line in car 9, position 1, a 1:59.511.
Yeah, not quite enough to usurp his best time. A 1:59.511 was his best. Unfortunately, lost it in the 3rd sector on that previous one. Was looking to be that much quicker, but unfortunately just wasn't to be towards the end of that lap. Yannick Mettler currently sits within 0.5 of that of Moritz Krantz, so getting very, very close and personal at this point. As we now see the cars make their way through. Moritz Krantz in the Mercedes there, you can see just looking for the grippier points, losing the rear end slightly as they head through the Rogier chicane. Just steps out a little bit, and if you lose control, you can just see tyres now being changed, this time on Kevin Ghilardoni's car. You can just see them taking a look at something in deep. Now, what's going on there? That's interesting, as we now see them go hard to work on Ghilardoni's car. Obviously, these are new conditions that we've had this season. We haven't really had anything quite like this all season long, so the drivers having to really get adjusted to the wet weather. Ricardo Casanaiga currently sat in 3rd, just gone purple in the 2nd sector as well, so he is actually flying and really improving as well. Just look at the difference in time. He's managed to pull the delta out in the 2nd sector. Currently sits 3rd fastest as things stand, and making his way out of the Parabolica curves now. Casanaiga will certainly look to try and tickle the top. Oh, comes into the pit lane. That's interesting. Surprised he didn't set that one.
that would have been provisional pole position for sure. As we pass the halfway point of qualifying one, the sole Porsche entry, the world-class dynamic motorsport team, down into the Ascari chicane. Go straight ahead.
That's
this
the
is
reason.
The reason why it would not have counted anyhow.
No,
Well,
absolutely.
it was a good lap.
That explains why he was a whole second faster in the second sector. So there we go. It looked like it was a beast of a lap time. Obviously, we've just been shown as to why that was the case. But no, in the pit lane and having some tyres changed.
It was a beast of a lap time, just not legitimate, unfortunately, for the returning GTOpen driver for Dynamic Motorsport. Still position 3 at the moment. Yannick Mettler, incidentally, has just rejoined the circuit. This is the Irishman, James Rowe, this talent from, I'll say, County Kildare, on the podium last week at Vallelunga in the Imperiale Lamborghini. Winds it up. We'll see where he comes across the line. Position 7 at the moment with a 2-minute 6:42, sharing the car with Alberto Di Folco. Down in pit lane is Moritz Kranz, still position 1. 1:59.511. James Rowe, position 7, doesn't improve that time. So the order halfway through qualifying 1, as we go back to James in 5:25, it is Moritz Kranz in position 1. Provisional pole from Yannick Mettler, Riccardo Cazzaniga in the Dynamic Motorsport Porsche, Pulcini P4, Carol Bash P5, the young French driver Sebastian Boll P6, James Rowe that we just saw a moment ago, Christian Korsanowski, the first AM car in position 8, the championship leader Kevin Gilardoni, and the African driver, the Axel Jeffries, different livery for Axel in the 73 Kessel Racing Ferrari this weekend. Currently the 4th Pro-Am car and position 10 outright, just ahead of Florian Schulze.
Yeah, absolutely right. James Rowe, who currently sits 7th fastest, making his way around the Lesmo corners. Just trying to whittle his way through this very greasy track. Lamborghini, obviously very, very rapid around this particular circuit. There was talk that Mercedes were going to perform well, and I think the fact that Moritz Kranz is certainly showing the times he has shown, as well as Yannick Mettler as well, up at the top end of things. Mercedes certainly seem very well versed to this circuit. So now see the cars make their way down towards the Ascari chicane. James Rowe, with a little bit of traffic ahead of him, as he now heads through Ascari. Looking to try and improve. Yannick Mettler has improved again as well. Purple in that first sector within 3/10 there or thereabouts. We now see Carol Bash as well making his way through, currently in 5th as well. We just saw him in picture heading into Ascari. And there is Yannick Mettler as well, the man who was on pole at the start of the session, enlisted the very first fast lap time. He's looking to go quick again. He's just knocked off just over half a second. In fact, at this very point, makes his way through the very fast snake section of Ascari. He'll then make his way down towards the Parabolica. And still, as I said, in second, in behind that of Moritz Kranz, will look to try and push himself to the top end of things if he can carry this one out. Of course, you've still got the Parabolica to contend with. Mistakes can be made here at Monza, and you've got to be wary of that gravel trap on the outset of this particular bend as well. But it's very, very quick, can provide a slingshot of sorts here at this point. Mettler dropping down to 3rd because Carol Bash has just gone 2nd fastest. The time's getting so tight. Here comes Mettler. Can he go on top? He can, and he blows it away, just over 7/10 faster than that of Moritz Kranz, a 1:58.780. It's getting serious. Yannick Mettler is on top.
Not only that, George, but the German cars are 1, 2, 3, 4 on the grid at the moment. The Mercedes 1, 2, Carol Bash in the Audi in position 3, and the sole Porsche, that is Riccardo Cazzaniga, in position 4 at the moment. So the Germans dominating, manufacturer-wise at least, here at the home of Italian motorsport.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely right indeed. Great display as well from Riccardo Cazzaniga, of course, in the pro category. There's a replay of Leonardo Pulcini skipping over the curbs. And very, very greasy out there. Of course, car control ever the more prevalent here at Monza. As you now see the Olymp Racing Ferrari making its way through as well. Christian Korsanowski is now making his way down towards the Parabolica curves. You can see he's got Kevin Gilardoni ahead of him, just giving him a bit of a flash of the lights, a twinkle there from Christian Korsanowski as he heads up through towards the Parabolica. Currently sits in 8th fastest on our screens on the timing tower. And now setting himself through the Parabolica curve, just stepping at that rear a little bit, laying down the power. Just goes to show how committed these drivers really are in what they do here at Monza. As he heads up towards the line, isn't an improvement. Currently sets 8th, he remains 8th, but still leads the AM contingent.
Second in the AM category is Adam Osaka for the moment, and Martin Conrad, who is P12 overall, Then we go to Giuseppe Cipriani, position 16. Welcome back to Giuseppe. What a character he is. If you have ever been to the ancient city of Venice, drop in for a coffee at Harry's Bar and Giuseppe himself may serve you. A racing career dating back to, what, the late 1980s, early 1990s, GT racing. Also raced in Formula 3000, not so long ago, in fact. We'll call him a gentleman racer. We'll call him a gentleman, absolutely. He's in position 16 at the moment. Did miss the Red Bull round 2 weeks ago. As we look at James Rowe going straight ahead, the 76, the British GT. Ooh, McLaren in the background, just avoiding the Irishman who keeps it out of the gravel. Nice save by James. Still in position 7 at the moment. Watch this. That was a lucky save.
Yeah, he was very fortunate. Managed to keep the car under control. You certainly don't want to go too far out there. You certainly don't want to beach the car at this point. Obviously, we've still got time here in qualifying. We're within the final 10 minutes now, nearly coming into the 9-minute mark. And there you can see Sebastian Boe currently sat in the pit lane. Cars all fighting for grip out on track right now. You see them make their way through. This is car number 76, Bradley Ellis, who is making his GTOpen debut this season, for this particular season anyway, 76. And that's the team that are looking to try and enlist a really, really good lap time to try and nestle in a last gasp effort. Simply just over 8.5 minutes remaining. Bradley Ellis in 14th fastest right now, whipping through the next chicane. And has managed to improve in the first 2 sectors as well, so this could push himself up the classification as works his way down towards the Parabolica. Obviously now it gets rather tricky at this point, certainly when there's water on the track. It's all about whether you can keep control of these particular beasts on 4 wheels as they now head through this next right-hander. Don't want to dip your cars onto the very slippy off-track section. There you can see him just literally playing with the throttle, lays the hammer down as looks to cross the line now. Where's this going to put Bradley Ellis as he heads across the start-finish line now? Where's it going to be? It's 11th fastest, improves by 3 places, moves Osaka, Conrad and Scholze down a spot. So a good showing, and there's the Imperiale car off the track again. Cipriani, no harm done. Axel Jeffries, it looks like just behind the flash of the lights from the 63 car of Leonardo Pulcini. There is Axel Jeffries. Kessel Racing, different colours for the Zimbabwean this weekend. Great to see Bradley Ellis and the 76 team on the grid, one of 2 McLarens, British lineup, British supercar from the British GT Championship here at the home of the Italian motorsport. Good time also Bradley Ellis, P11 outright with a 2-minute 9.67, former class winner in the Dubai 24-hour race. As we look at Pulcini come under the old banking into the Ascari chicane. There is Cipriani just behind. 2 virtually identical cars. One for outright honours this weekend, and Cipriani chasing glory in the AM category. We mentioned Harry's Bar, one of the most famous cafes in the world. No surprise to see that he is, of course, sponsored by Lavazza. The yellow flag is out. We did hear a car go round. You heard the Michelin tyres, and surely we'll see a glimpse of a 133 going round. Murat Tuataruglu again does well to keep it out of the gravel. Yeah, absolutely right indeed. Pulcini now making his way down towards the line, a solitary point behind the fellow Oregon cars in the championship. That is all that separates them. Pulcini will be trying to look to send the car to the top end of things. 6th fastest is where he sits. Yannick Mettler still on the very top end of things though, and just within 6/10 behind is Axel Jeffries in 2nd, Kranz in 3rd, Bash now down to 4th. Remember, he was up in P2 not so long ago. Kazaniga in 5th as well, with Pulcini in behind him in the standings, with Seb Boe in 7th, Kevin Gallardoni in 8th as well, with Rowe in 9th as well, James Rowe in 9th, with Christian Korzanowski in 10th, Brian Scholze, who moved up to 11th fastest as well, so he's made improvements ahead of that of Bradley Ellis, who currently sits in 12th. Carol Bash coming into the pit lane, and no doubt will look to perhaps put in one final burst. We've just got, just under 6 minutes remaining. He's going to have to come back out pretty quickly if he wants to enlist another time. The spray, though, still very much out on track. Axel Jeffries still sat in 2nd fastest, looking to try and improve. Has improved in the 1st sector on his previous best. but he would like to see that colour change to purple, I'm sure, to get ahead of Yannick Mettler, who currently holds on to the lead. I bet you can imagine, or I bet you can't imagine how much spray is going to come at you, certainly if you're further down the grid order. It's going to be a lot for these drivers to be concerned about when we go racing later on. Axel Jeffrey still second, as he now heads down in towards the Ascari chicane. Makes his way through, loses a bit of time though in the second sector, which isn't ideal, but the third sector is what matters, as that's when you're going to cross the line and nestle in your lap time, as he now makes his way down the next straight of things. There is Polchini, who is just ahead as well. He's not improving on his first two sector runs either, still remains stagnant in 6th place, but he will have time to enlist another lap. Axel Jeffrey's now rounding the Parabolica in the Kessel Racing Ferrari, and you look for him this weekend as they now round the next right-hander, partnering Roman Zamian, of course, as they now head up towards the line. Polchini, who remains in 6th. He stays in 6th for the 2-minute .269. Axel Jeffries up towards the line, a 1:59.931, stays in 2nd fastest. No improvements yet. Mettler still holds on to the advantage.
So the Pro-Am drivers are 1, 2, 3, 4 on the grid, the dying stages of qualifying one here this morning. And thankfully, it is just drizzling at best. The heavy rains forecast for this point of the morning have not yet arrived. There is hope that we'll race on, well, a greasy track as opposed to a saturated circuit this afternoon. Axel Jeffries on your screen in position 2. The Zimbabwean for the Swiss-owned Kessel Racing Ferrari team. Yannick Mettler, P1. Bradley Ellis has just rejoined from pit lane, incidentally, as has Carol Bash, the pole in position 4. As you look at one of 4 Mercedes in the field this weekend. Adam Osaka. No chance of missing this car despite the gloomy conditions here in the north of Italy this weekend. Purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2. And we watch Adam come across the line. This will be a super lap and jump him up the grid. Position 2. Wow, 1:59.138 for Adam, goes into 2nd place overall, and it is still a Mercedes 1-2 on the grid. The dying stages of qualifying one here at Monza.
Well, I can see Kiki Saknana's smile from here, but I get the feeling that time might have been deleted. He's been moved back down to 14th place. And it did look like the deltas were pretty sharp. He actually cut turn 1 and 2 at that particular point. So that explains why the time was deleted. He was well over a second faster in that first sector. So that does go to show that he must have taken the escape road at that point. Erwin Zanotti has just gone 16th fastest. Kazaniga has now gone 2nd fastest. The sole pro in the top 3 of things right now. So a great showing for Ricardo Kazaniga, as now we see Axel Jeffries come around the final corner now. Currently sits 3rd fastest as well. Polchini has just gone 2nd fastest too. Axel Jeffries, who went purple in the first sector, lost a little bit in the second. 4th is where he stays, a 1:59.545. That's 2 pro cars now up in the top 3. Polchini 2nd, Ricardo Kazaniga in 3rd. Moritz Kranz has just gone 4th fastest ahead of Axel Jeffries as well. Carol Bash, who is also out on track as well, he's rejoined the action too, with just over 2 minutes to go. Yannick Mettler, can anyone stop him?
Nick Moss, Joe Osborne in the Optimum Motorsport McLaren. They've got a lot of work to do with 2 minutes remaining on the clock. Nick Moss down in position 17 on the podium in the Pro-Am category in 2021 at this circuit at Monza and multiple times throughout 2022. But at the moment, Nick Moss is down in 17th place, some 3+ seconds off pole position. You're watching Ricardo Kazaniga for Dynamic Motorsport go under the old banking. He's done a purple best first sector and backs out of it. So he'll have 1 shot to take pole position here for the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. There is James Rowe, flash of the lights from the 525 Imperiale Racing Lamborghini. Ricardo acknowledges him and will get out the way. In fact, he may well accelerate. He'll need to, because it'll be his final shot. So we see Bradley Ellis at the bottom of your screen. This is Christian Kosanowski going through the Michele Alboreto Parabolica. He's dropped back to 10th place. Axel Jeffries on your screen. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2, sideways out of the Ascari chicane. This is the view down the back straight. Axel Jeffries looking good. Well, it has to be a Ferrari surely here at Monza, despite the dominance of the German manufacturers, plural, at the moment. Axel Jeffries, and he'll get 1 more shot as well. He'll just get across the line. We'll watch the time as he follows one of the Oregon Lamborghinis through. Axel Jeffries, purple sector 1, purple sector 2. And the Zimbabwean for Kessel Racing. stays P3. It is still Mettler from Pulcini, and then Axel in P3.
Yeah, Axel Jeffries there getting well and truly within the spray of Pulcini's car that's just ahead of him right now. Pulcini now heading up towards turn 1 and 2. Can see all of Axel Jeffries in behind. This is not ideal at all for Jeffries getting stuck behind Pulcini, because he will dictate the pace now on this very final run of qualifying. As the timer ticks down the final 5 seconds, it will be 0 very shortly, and the checkered flag has come down on this session, as you now see the cars now making their way down towards the start-finish line to enlist their final flying laps. Yannick Mettler out on track, so's Pulcini. Jeffries, who we just saw as well. Kazaniga in 4th, who is also out on track too. Plenty of cars all fighting it out for the top end. Carol Bash is out there as well. Who is going to enlist faster lap times? Can anyone topple Yannick Mettler? Ricardo Kazaniga could. He's gone faster in the first sector. He's got to enlist this one. There he is now, making his way down the straight, leading towards Ascari. Currently sits with a minus 105.105, which will certainly go a long way to putting him in on top orders of things. But he has got traffic ahead of him. He's making his way through Ascari now, and look at the spray coming off that Lamborghini that's ahead of him. Kazaniga now down this next straight. He might get a little bit of a tow actually at this point, which will prove to be very useful, but will need to have clean air coming out of the Parabolica as they now head down. A flash of the lights again as now the cars make their way through. Kazaniga not leaving anything to chance. He did lose a little bit of time in the second sector, but it's what he does here that counts. The third sector here on this lap. Kortanowski has just gone 7th fastest and enlisted that time as well. Kazaniga now heading down towards the straight. You can see the checkered flag being waved. What can Kazaniga do? Stays 4th fastest, so 1:59.227. That's his lap time. Remains in 4th. Jeffries still out and about though. So is Pulcini. Can they take Yannick Mettler's P1 time?
Yes, but at the moment, Pulcini's sectors haven't been so impressive to take pole position. It's looking good for Yannick Mettler in car 54 as we take a look at Carol Bash sideways. Ooh. Oh, wow! Into the gravel. How did he hang on to that? Well, in the past, we have seen the World Rally Championship race here at Monza. Carol was almost an entrant by default, but Yannick Mettler has taken pole position for the penultimate round, race 1 of the GTOpen International Championship.
He did well to hold on to that. I have to say, we did see a little piece of the car fly off as well, but everything, I think, okay for Carol Bash, but all smiles in the SPS Performance Mercedes camp as on pole position is Yannick Mettler. A wonderful performance to say the least, and he tops this classification with Leonardo Pulcini in 2nd, Axel Jeffries in 3rd, Ricardo Kazaniga in 4th, Moritz Kranz in 5th, with Carol Bash in 6th, Christian Kortanowski in 7th, the only AM driver in the top 10, or the AM car in the top 10, with Kevin Gillardoni in 8th, Sebastian Bowe 9th, James Rowe 10th fastest. Bradley Ellis in his first race here in this championship this season, 11th fastest. Martin Conrad in 12th, Florian Scholze in 13th, Adam Osaka 14th, Nick Moss in 15th, Giuseppe Cipriani in 16th, with Erwin Zanotti 17th, Lauren De Meus in 18th, with Liangbo Yao in 19th, with Murat Chiradaroglu in 20th. 21st went to Willem van der Vorm. Pascal Bachmann in the Street Art Aston Martin remains 22nd fastest. But there you can see the umbrellas out and about, the spectators protecting themselves from the rain. It's certainly going to bring a spectacle when we go out racing later on here. And it's going to be absolutely sensational.
It will be, as we look at Axel Jeffries, who brings the Kessel Racing Ferrari across the line for position 3, so that's an inside second row start for race 1 this afternoon. Leonardo Pulcini upholds honour for the Italian manufacturer. The Lamborghini for Team Oregon, the team that dominated last time out at the Red Bull Ring, so he's still well and truly with one eye on the championship. But pole position goes to the SPS Performance team. Yannick Mettler, he sat on pole position for most of the session, and to be fair, really does deserve to start off Grid 1 for race 1 at 3:30 local time this afternoon. Yannick Mettler has stepped out of the 54 Mercedes and he's ready to tell us exactly what happened in qualifying. He's down with Alfredo now.
Yannick Mettler, that was a good way to start the day with a great pole position.
Absolutely. I mean, we were quick yesterday. I had a good feeling, but then the rain came, was very unexpected, or we didn't have an idea where we are. And I heard on the radio on the first flying lap, that it was P1, so I had a good feeling and kept on pushing. And yeah, Monza is a good place for me, obviously.
You just told me that you had fun and you were P1 throughout the session, so you had a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I mean, just stuck to the rain line from the beginning and was trying to get a feeling for the grip and just enjoyed it really, you know, and the lap time came itself. And in this rain session, it can change towards the end, so I was a little bit worried somebody would improve, but yeah, it was all safe as it seems.
And it looked like the rain was stronger at the end, or was it stable in terms of track condition?
Yeah, from my impression, was quite stable. We went out on used tires initially and then put a new set. That's why I improved. But other than that, I couldn't really find much more, and I think so did the other ones. And yeah, happy, especially because it's like our home race for us Swiss people, for a Swiss team. And we have a lot of guests here, so that one goes out to all of them.
Well done, and we'll see what happens later. Thank you.
Well, a cheers for Yannick Mettler, and of course he will have to wait and see whether he can pull it off and get a P1. Join us later on this afternoon for racing action here at Monza for the GTOpen Championship.